All right.
So what are you starting with?
We're starting with failure. We're going to talk about what happens when things just don't work. I'm James S. Tabitha. We go talk shit. Let's go. If we had sponsors, we'd talk about sponsors now. Kirkland Brand very begrudgingly acknowledges the existence of James Ellis. There was a lawsuit. We're okay now. But
they did not fail. They are not a failure. Just
they are not a failure. They're in fact the only
not
appropriate sponsor that we would accept.
Not associated with the topic of this podcast.
Yeah.
Disclaimer.
So yeah, let me tell you a story, and then we'll riff on this a bit. So straight out of grad school, I started a little nonprofit construction company. I've been working for another one as an intern, and I was like, hey, if nonprofit people are doing construction-y things, what happens if construction-y people do nonprofit stuff? It's, I go on a rant, but like nonprofit's really just a tax status, right? They're just normal businesses. And it worked really well until it didn't. And while fundamentally I blame Ted Cruz for many things, all of the money that comes through the Community Development Block Grant got stopped when Ted Cruz shut down the government in like whatever year that was. 2017?
2020, the year 18? Of our Savior.
Are we going to fight now?
I believe it was early 2018.
2018. Thank you, Casey.
2018. We don't speak of the pre-COVID times. No.
Yeah. Back in the dream time, we were... all the money comes through the Community Development Block Grant, goes out to all of these local governments, goes out to all these nonprofits. And when Ted Cruz shut down the government, everybody got real slow to pay. And despite having enough revenue to make the thing go in any, given month when people paid us on time, when people stop paying you on time, or there are several organizations in this town that still owe me money, they're just not going to pay me. It becomes really difficult to keep your business going. And so I got to learn a lesson in how to wrap up a business, right? And how did I feel like doing that ethically was the way to go about it. And there's a lot of like emotions around that. There's a lot of considerations, right? We're in the middle of a job when the folks that I was working with had big personal issues and took off. And so now we're, okay, well, do I abandon this last gig? Do I see this one out? What do we do with the space that we rented as a warehouse? Like, do I actually clean that out? The guy that owns it's kind of a jerk. Do I care? What's going to make me feel good in this? And to feel sort of ethical in moving out from it. And so, yeah, it sucks. And like the model was good. And when it went well. And then when it stopped, the music just stopped. And it was ecosystem things. It was personal things. And even now I'm still discovering what exactly was going on in the mix of stuff that was happening there. And so that personal bit of, I've had something just go completely sideways, I think also has been really helpful for me in, okay, well, not everything is going to go exactly to plan. And most things are not going to go at all. Right? When I did the analysis of starting this thing, it was mostly around what are the existing customers? Like, who is currently doing the work that we want to be doing, or who's paying for that work? And then at the end, it was, well, nobody, because this is a very precarious way to go about doing any sort of business. And so it's really played a lot into how do I do stuff generally, of like, how do you build sustainable funding that's outside what you sort of see as your core revenue stream, right? For me, it was, I do work for nonprofits for if I was to go back and try to do it again, it would be, I want rich people to give me money. And that's where I would have spent a lot more time, because it's an independent thing from like the ebb and flow of work, right? You need that buffer.
James,
Yeah.
speaking the American dream. I want
Hmm.
rich people to give me money.
Yeah. Well, I'm not pretty enough for OnlyFans. That's the problem. I mean,
don't
a
look
certain
very
kind
much
of
like
pretty,
Bonnie
but
Blue.
not.
So I am going to ask you questions. That's what I'm going to do.
Do it.
Because
Let's
I
rock.
feel like you didn't tell me about the failure. Like, I want to hear about the failure, and I want to know if we cleared out the warehouse.
We cleared out the warehouse.
Like, cleaned it? Like, there was
Cleaned
not
it.
even a soda can left in that warehouse.
Not even a soda can left in the warehouse. Yeah, I cleaned the whole thing out. It took me 6 Sunday mornings to get everything cleaned out of there and hauled off to the dump, or into the shed behind my house, which I will, since we're moving soon, have to clean out again.
That's
yeah.
fun for you. So, for the record, James is not petty at all. Zero petty.
Never petty.
James.
Yeah, no, I finished the last gig. I hired a local guy to help me crank through this. Ended up in the hole to the tune of about $100,000 at the end of it. And yeah, went to work for a little civil engineering consulting shop here in town, so that I could make enough money to pay everybody back. But it did, right? And that felt good, right? It felt good to not leave folks hanging, right? It felt good to wrap things up in a way that I had said that I was going to. You know, nonprofits are a little different in that, you know, you can't sort of declare bankruptcy and walk away, right? Your board is on the hook financially for your poor decision making. And I don't even know that it was poor decision making, but it was like, I didn't want to leave a mess for people who had been tangentially involved in what was going on. So yeah, it took a little more than a year to pay everybody back, and a lot of counseling time with my wife. But no, like, and things worked out, right? And I think that's the other lesson for me coming out of this is like, you can take another swing, right? Learn, be thoughtful, and then do it from a position of strength, right? Like, I think that's where particularly startups go like wildly off the rails, is you don't have any sort of reserve at the beginning if you're bootstrapping something. And if you can't do it and keep your day job, right, you gotta pay rent. Like, you gotta eat. And you know, there's a time to make that jump, and it's not as soon as people think it is. And that sucks, because you want to be able to do the thing that you're really passionate about full time, and then you can't, because America's expensive.
And getting more expensive every day.
It's true.
Our sponsor. So, you came out this as a very well-adjusted human. So what would be the unwell-adjusted way of handling this? What is a way you have seen people handle this same situation?
Very, very poorly. All right, so I worked for a little consulting company here in Portland. Had some big clients, did really great work. At the time, I thought we were expanding really well. We had hired several people, but we had revenue. We had plenty to do that with. One of the things that you run into a lot with particularly business development work is lack of quality data, right? Either you're not collecting it, or you're not collecting the right data, or sometimes people are hiding data from you. That was part of it, was I didn't really have a full picture around where money was going out. And so there were a lot of pieces. I was like, yeah, no, this feels okay, right? we're putting a lot of money out into the world right now in terms of humans, but we've got it, right? We're still positive every month, right? We're making money, not a ton, but we're covering payroll and rent plus, margin. Not a huge one, but like 8%. So nothing to sneeze at. And then we lost a client. And it was the smallest client, but it set off this sort of chain reaction of we now don't have enough. And I didn't find out about it for a while of the we've not been priming the pump for new clients. We've not been working on bringing other folks in. There was a lot of pushback from leadership around like how that would work. And so rather than being able to pivot to the next thing, we started to part out as a company. Several people went to work for one of our clients, which was cool, but it removed the revenue from the organization the rest of us worked at, which we were all kind of living on. And then it broke apart. You got not being open, not sharing information, and the founder syndrome thing of I am correct because I'm in charge. Yeah, you can be. You're the one making decisions, but at the same time, what are you really accomplishing by? Yeah,
you can be a founder and be wrong or dumb. I say you can be a founder and you can be wrong and you can be dumb. Both are possible. You can also be right. There's an option to be right and smart, but there's also many other options.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I've seen that go sideways. I've seen a lot of things just implode. Right? You hit a big hiccup. You whiff on a client. You miss out on some particular important thing, and it sets off a chain reaction of a death spiral. A recent client is a mortuary first call service, and I got brought in to do
a death spiral, and they're a mortuary first.
Yeah. Uber for the dead. So for people who don't know, first call, when you die, they'll come pick you up. They take you to the funeral home. They're nice people. It's generally a third-party service.
Uber for dead people.
Uber for dead people. But no, I got brought in by somebody who is looking at taking one over, but wanted to do some sort of post-mortem analysis, since we're going to keep riffing on this shit anyway. Around what went wrong with the one that she's kind of buying. And what it really turned out was pricing was always wonky, and the owner owned other companies that were sucking a bunch of his time and attention away. And by the time he realized that the people that he had put in leadership positions were not doing well, they had lost clients, they'd lost a lot of revenue opportunity, and they were hemorrhaging money to the tune of about $1 million. And so he's shutting it down. Because you gotta at that point, right? You can only eat that much for so long. And it sucks because now they're cutting, 10 or so employees, people who got to go find work. It's a fairly specialized field. There's only 2, I think, in Portland. And so now we're, okay, what comes next, right? Because he's done. He's out. He's retiring, I think. It's also another reason not to hire your children to do things. But we'll talk about nepotism later.
New podcast idea.
So, but no, to do that, what does it take to stand one up sort of out of the wreckage of a previous one, right? And whether it was reasonable for her to take over the existing one. And the answer is God, no. Even without the sort of burden of all this extra debt, there's so much baggage is the wrong word, but just stuff that comes along with it, right? Bodies. Somebody has to maintain custody of those bodies because there's a lot of laws around this. This is the thing I learned about this year. You can't even take them across county lines without special permission, which is
Oh.
probably a good thing. But like,
Good
Tabitha,
knowledge,
no,
everyone. You cannot move bodies across county lines without permission. Note
Tabitha,
that
no,
in your diary.
no, not even for their teeth.
Not even for their any body parts.
Yeah. And for all you weirdos out there, don't give Tabitha teeth.
I don't have my vase in the picture. It's like slightly over here, but it's like a it's quite beautiful, very teethy.
Everyone should give Tabitha teeth.
I love teeth.
Yeah. So those are my like recent failure story. Well, recent being the last 10 years, but like the big ones. Yeah, a lot of it's just you got to hold all those things in your head, and it's weird because you got to hold all those things in your head of like here's like environmental issues, here's organizational issues, here's all of these pieces that could make things explode, and the time to fix them is 6 months before they are an issue. Right? And that's really hard because a lot of folks come into running a business knowing how to do the thing. Right? I worked with a plumber a couple of years ago. Great plumber. Huge like client base. Everybody loves this guy. He does great work. Has no idea how to scale a business. Has no idea how to like go beyond. I've got 2 crews and I check on them all day.
Ooh, they love that, I bet.
Oh, they did.
Micromanaging.
So, but yeah, nobody teaches you how to do that kind of stuff, right? Like even in management school, it was very like you run a business. How do you grow a business? How do you So Tabitha,
So I was going to say this sounds like a really great segue into what is redlining and why is it a dumb thing to do with your business? Because most people outside of the business sphere are probably going to hear redlining and think buses.
Oh, what is a bus? What are those?
Like redlining for mortgages,
yeah,
up in the north, where Jim
city.
up in the north, where we're not technically racist. We just don't let people buy houses in certain neighborhoods or cities, and that is called redlining.
yeah.
And it's illegal, but that doesn't mean it wasn't happening up until like the 2000s.
Yeah. Even now, there are still. So it was like a mortgage lending thing.
Mm-hmm.
This big like federal mortgage company thing came out and was like, here's our analysis of all of these neighborhoods, and it was whether they were like up and coming or doing okay or kind of crap or populated with black people, and they wouldn't give people mortgages for places that they weren't supposed to be.
And it was called redlining in that you could not get a mortgage beyond the red line of the map.
Oh.
Yeah, if your complexion was a certain value or darker.
Which is, as everyone is hopefully very aware, illegal as fuck. I will defer to Tabitha's better understanding of discrimination law, but yeah.
Sue the fuck out of us.
Oh yeah. No, I grew up outside of Detroit, which is why I'm very, very familiar with this as a practice and as a non super business person. That's just like if I hear redlining, I'm like, oh, the housing practice.
Yeah.
So perfect transition. What is redlining, Tabitha and James of a business, and why is it a terrible idea?
Well,
please start your answer with a complete sentence that explains the question, like I didn't ask it.
So redlining. I'm going to explain what redlining is by first defining what that redlining your car is. So, unlike when it was explained to me, which was explaining workouts, in your car, there's a little red line. And whenever you smash your gas and you go past that little red line and you stay there too long, you can say bye to your car functioning well ever again. You've fucked yourself. You've fucked your car. Yay. Not like my secret addictions, but you now have cost yourself a shit ton of money. So whenever you redline your business, you have fucked yourself. So just like with selling your business, this is something that hopefully whenever you're hitting that 6 months out, whenever you should be like, warning, warning, something has fucking happened, which usually whenever you're creeping up to that red line in your car, whenever you're trying to get through the yellow light, let's say, not that I would ever speed through a yellow light, you ramp up. There's a noise that happens. And usually this is something that happens right before you fall really hard on your fucking face in business. So like with the plumber, you're micromanaging. You have hired people you can't handle. You are doing all the things. One of the things that I really like, you've operated at capacity in a way that you are not serving your clients. You are serving them very badly, which everybody loves, especially in a plumber. That's my favorite. I love whenever my plumber is my new best friend because he's always at my house. No, not joking. Lots of plumbing. But it's something that constantly you see businesses do, because especially with the culture that we're in right now, it is hustle culture. It is, you are maxing yourself in. We have created the, oh gosh, it was can I say dick measuring?
Yeah.
Okay. Dick measuring. I wake up, I remember once, gosh, this was years ago, my boss was like, yeah, I always wake up at 5 and do my workouts and stuff. And I remember her boss turning to her and was like, well, I wake up at 4. And I was just like,
but why?
tell us you're very unhappy with life.
This?
I love that for you. I love those 4 hours of sleep for you. Brag to me whenever you get 12 hours of sleep. That's the culture we're in. Be like super maxed out. And that is your red line culture. You are failing yourself. There is only so long you operate there before you are failing. Same with, you have like the original business, whenever you're sitting there with the consulting business, whenever you lose one of those people, you have maxed yourself out of capacity. You weren't working on lead generation. So whenever someone falls off, it is, oh, fuck time.
No.
Yeah.
No. And, I'm not the right one to talk about this because I go like fuck all the time. I have one speed. Casey has very kindly described me as a thoroughbred. Like I can go like hell, but if I don't drink water, I will die. Like very fragile.
And you need someone on the side going, James,
yeah.
Here's some water. Drink it as fast as you can. See how fast you can drink it. Be your last time.
Yeah. So don't think that like anybody is exempt from this, friends. Cheers. But no, like it's addicting, right? Like it is very like, oh, I feel like I'm doing something all the time, right? And very much to your point, Tabitha, of it's hustle culture, right? It is pervasive. I got hurt about a year ago. My back was just wrecked. I'm a fairly large human, and so when that goes out, like the wheels have totally come off. And I tried very diligently well, that's a lie. I tried a little bit to take a sabbatical and to fall over. And at least I went to physical therapy. Like I'm mostly better now. But the whole idea of rest or of like working a little bit was, and it is really difficult for me. But the value of it is you have the brain space to come up with actually interesting things, right? one of the ways that I made myself feel better about taking a sabbatical was to learn about sabbaticals. Uh, so I just bought a giant stack of.
Let's start from the beginning. Tell me that again so we can all hear it and absorb the sabbatical. Start from the top. How did
Start from the
you?
top. All right, sabbatical story. James hurt his back about a little more than a year ago, while I was running a seminar for a cult. Uh,
Next
and
podcast.
next podcast, we'll definitely talk about the cult story.
And continued to lift for several days before contacting the literal medical massage therapist living in his pocket.
You know, you got to squish up the crazy, Casey. That's the thing. No, and I did. I talked to the medical providers in my life, both the one who helped a lot, and then the one in the doctor that I'm married to, who was like, just go say it, doctor. God damn it. But yeah, no, I like the end result was that I had like soft tissue injuries, but nothing that was insurmountable in terms of like getting back to normal life eventually, provided I wasn't a total dickhead about it. Um, so I tried not to be. And I was convinced by a number of people who spoke very strongly that I needed to take some time off. I didn't do that. I I helped shut down 11 nonprofits because funding things. But I did start slowing down after that debacle, and have tried to maintain it since then. But the idea of a sabbatical, of actually taking time off, is abhorrent in the eyes of God. And I really struggle with it because I'm a good little Protestant boy. And so, in order to make myself feel better about taking a big chunk of time, right, I had really planned on a year. It lasted probably a weekend, actually. But in order to make myself feel better about it, I bought a bunch of books on sabbaticals. So I was like, I'm going to write a book about taking a sabbatical. Right? That's what you do on a sabbatical, is you write a book, right? Like,
Pain.
So I read and I read and I read and I read and I read. And a lot of the pieces of it were like, yo, what brilliant people actually do is not this, right? It's not hustle. Like, it is giving yourself the space to process and to make good decisions, right? It's being forward looking, right? When you look at a lot of these like big thinkers, philosophers, mathematicians, like, and frankly, all of the study of sabbatical has been done by academics because they're the only ones who are allowed to do it. And so like yeah, you take a year off, you think big deep thoughts, you go sit by a river, and and this is very Americentric, right? Like, the French get a whole fucking month off in the summer every year, and they all just like fuck off to the seashore, which is the right way to live, by the way. Let me be very clear. But to have big thoughts, to have time to do that, right? I try now very diligently to schedule at most 2 meetings a day, and one of those needs to involve coffee or a beer, and like seeing another human. I got to a point during the before I got hurt that I was not. I saw a lot of people, but they were all virtual, and I was very tired. And so yeah, like, I think that bit Tabitha's spot on about is like the hustle will just kill you, right? It will kill you. It will kill your business. It will kill your relationships with your children. Think about your grandparents, and particularly your grandfather, and what Christmas is like sometimes. Like, when nobody really knows anybody.
He's dead, and it's enjoyable. So,
well, and that's the thing, right?
hustle culture. That's what
yeah. Maybe, yeah. But no, like, you don't have to run 1,000,000 miles an hour. Am I good at that? Absolutely not. I'm fucking terrible at it. And we'll get into like teaming things, but Tabitha's right. Like, it is all about, you have to find sustainable, and and part of doing that, I think, is being really thoughtful about where you're going. right? Building out process in terms of, all right, what do we want to do next year? Is that achievable? And is it going to kill everybody to do it?
Hopefully.
Yeah. So that's my thought around not pegging it all the time, because I mean that was right. Dirty bird. There we go.
So the moral of the story is essentially it's okay to go slow. Because
Yeah.
if you go slow and build a solid foundation, then you're not going to crumble.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
go for it.
I will say both can be true. You can push yourself really hard and you can rest. Like there are times, like if you're launching, that is a extremely hectic point in your life. That is a balls to the wall, like 3 months of your life. That is talk to everyone you know and be like, hey, I love you. I know your birthday is next month. I'm going to get you something amazing. I will not see you at all. I will see you in 3 months. It's something where you're putting in an extreme amount of effort. After that's over, freaking chill the fuck out. Like, not usually your reward for a launch, and I've been guilty of this myself. Your reward is, yay, I get to work more, because you're going from launch directly into hardcore sales. And then hardcore making of the thing that you were launching. So there's never like a breath, and that's just normal. And then you're into the launch cycle again, and over and over and over, and that's been completely normalized. And so all you're doing is eating, you're cannibalizing yourself, because the product is you.
Yeah.
So taking that little break is really, really important. And whenever you explain that to people, that's really good. And then also if you have a team and you're taking breaks, and usually when they're dealing with you in balls to the wall time, they're also glad that you're not there. And
Yeah.
I mean that in all the love and heart. They need
But I think
breaks too.
a lot of that comes back to, how did you design this process? Right? Like, did you design it at all? One, because that's the most common way to go about it, is just to fucking wing it. But like, what did the roadmap really say? Right? Hey, we got 3 months. We're going to launch. Right? And then the next 6 months is sales and development. Well, like, dig into that. Right? Like, when do things actually need to happen?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a very
yeah,
intuitive and personalized, tailored to your business
yeah,
situation.
because it's both, like so many things, right? It's both personal and business stuff, right? You are, as a founder, your product, right? Regardless of what you're doing, right? If you are providing the labor for the thing that is sold and like working on the business, you are the product. And what is really achievable in any given period of time, right? You want to measure it in quarters, you want to measure it in years, great. Because if you flame out, you're just done, right? There's no more. Right? I think the same is when you get into a growth phase, right? Yeah, okay. Example with the plumber, he's got 2 crews. That's great. He's rocking it. They've got way more business than they can handle, so they need to hire on. So now is the time to think about, okay, well, what am I really comfortable with in the next year? Right? 2 more crews? Can we build out the infrastructure for that? So now I've got to hire not just 2 more plumbers and 2 more assistants, but I've got to hire somebody to go through and schedule them. Right? I've got to hire some admin staff because I've got to serve all of this like paperwork that comes along with each of these repairs. Do I want to try to automate that now? Am I ready for that? Like that next step of digitizing all these things and sending things through email, and am I the human that does that?
Yeah.
Do I hand this off to the admin? Like, how am I building out the structure of this organization so that, one, my life doesn't suck? Because, man, nobody wants to do the paperwork. And that's why you hire somebody and pay them well to do the paperwork.
I love paperwork.
It's one of the many things that concerns me about you.
It's very assuring just having it. Like, um,
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of self-awareness that I feel like you have to tap into that. But admitting that you can't fucking do it all.
Yeah.
And that's something like, I want to be a founder. I want to run things. I want to be on top of it. It also means you make less money, but you don't have to do the shit. You can be the founder. You can be the fucking owner. It doesn't mean you have to be the CEO.
Yeah.
And that's a good feeling. You can be the person that doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
That's a sexy feeling. How about that? Yum.
Well, and I think a lot of yeah, you don't have to do shit. I love handing things off to other people. I'm really good at it. It is one of my great skills. Please don't. I don't want. Yeah. No, but like the acknowledgments, I think that other people are good at things too, and are better at things than me.
Like, plumber needs freaking manager.
Yeah.
Hire manager. Amazing.
Yeah.
But realizing you can be an awesome plumber, but you don't do the things,
Yeah.
the businessy things. Do you want to learn the businessy things? Probably fucking not.
Yeah. Well, and just take a big breath, and because it goes from being you as the product, right, to being a business, right, and that transition is really rough for a lot of people, right, because it is your baby. You identify very strongly with it, and then all of a sudden it's this thing that exists in the world that is kind of independent of you at that point.
Here's where you fucked up. It's not your baby.
Yeah.
It was never your baby. Stop treating it like a baby.
Stop treating it like a baby. There's a whole podcast right there.
Don't be weird.
Don't make this weird. But yeah, no, I think there's a lot of pieces to making the jump well. And I always come back to the thing of like, how to do whatever it is you're doing really well, right? That's why you feel like there's a place for it in the market. No one teaches you how to run a business. Like that's even in like business school things, right? The constellation of stuff you have to keep in your head is like you don't always get, right? I certainly not in like my public sector MBA adjacent nonsense. Like how do you grow a thing, right? How do you manage growth sustainably? How do you it's tough. And that's why Tabitha and I are here.
Hello.
Yeah, email right here. So
To help you do businessy things, because we actually know how to do those things.
we're here to help. We've done it.
And the thing.
Reasonably well.
Not plumbing. The other thing.
Like, there's lots of things, not just plumbing. Please keep me other jobs. They're really great clients. I love them, but no. Cool.
That's awesome.
Cool.
It's true though. Even MBAs are the worst people I've ever had manage a restaurant.
Yeah.
I learned so much about how not to motivate people with sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, why? Like, it was a lot of focus on that. And I was like, I love that like is now needed. Like,
oh yeah, no, we're not allowed to do that anymore. We were never allowed to do it, but we did it, and now
slap him on the ass and send him into the bullpen.
Or like something like Kimberly's wearing a tight skirt today. Make Kimberly proud, and you may see that tight skirt again. Like, don't do that. Let Kimberly wear her tight skirt in peace. Don't acknowledge it, even though she looks nice.
You can also just say, Kimberly, you look really nice.
Treat it like looking at the sun, right? Like, yeah, maybe for a minute just to see what it's like. But you can't stare at it forever. Don't make this weird.
Or actually call her into the office and be like, you can't wear skirts like that. They're distracting at work. So please, whenever you come into work next time, wear a looser skirt. Thank you, Kimberly. Enjoy. Punished for being too attractive at work. Boom.
I'll wear a different skirt next time, Tabitha. I'm sorry.
Story was about James this whole time.
In my day, we called them sweater puppies. I don't see what's offensive about that. Everyone loves puppies.
Oh God.
I think we should bring back sweater puppies.
This. I'm just here.
Outside the workplace. Consensual sweater puppies.
There's our merch.
In my day. Strapped an onion to my belt, as was the style at the time.